Well, hello everybody, welcome back. This is Henry. So we're at Cultus Lake right now. It's a little bit mixed weather, bit of blue sky, bit of cloud, bit of sun shower, but it's supposed to clear up by tomorrow, so we got a couple of days of cleanup diving. Finally get a chance to come back to Cultus Lake. The lake was, as some of my regular followers, and if you're a local in BC, of course you would know that we had the atmospheric rain that happened a little while ago, September, October. And the lake, we lost access to the lake. First of all, the Maple Bay campground is completely destroyed. And we're at Delta Grove right now, which is actually open. It's open all year round. But we're gonna go down and the visibility is cleared right up. I'll take you down and show you guys. So we purposely grabbed this campsite because we could just walk right down to the water with our dive gear right here. And the water looks amazing. Check it out. So the fact that I can even see a couple of feet into the water right here, that's actually really good, because apparently it was just completely zero visibility. Like you couldn't see like even a quarter inch before. That's how much silt was in the water. Anyway, I'm gonna get set up here. I gotta unload all my dive gear from my camper so I can pop up the camper, and then I am going to get suited up and take you guys for a dive and see what we can find. Alright, I'm pretty excited to get in the water because the visibility was, I thought it looked really, really good compared to what it was like back in November, December. So looking down, I can have quite a bit of visibility, but I do notice a ton of refraction, like suspended silt in the water. Just for comparison purposes, this is footage from November 5th, 2021, also in Cultus Lake, just slightly up the road. So very close to where I am now, you can see the difference in just how much backscatter there is from my light. There's a little bit more silt, maybe like twice the amount of silt laying on top of things. So the beer bottle you saw me just pick up, it had quite a bit of dusting of silt on it. As I go a little bit deeper, it's definitely getting darker, and you can tell that suspended silt as I pick something up. That is just super, super fine. Some of the finest silt that I've ever seen in a lake here local in BC. The lake bottom in this section here is a little bit of a bowl, so I do have to check my depth to make sure that I'm keeping myself up between 47 and 50 feet, because if I veer off, I'll get really shallow, really deep, one or the other. So I'm checking constantly to make sure that I'm at the right depth. And of course, with all of the silt, sometimes I just have to look for a really odd shape that's along the ground, the lake bed. And as it turned out, this was a shoe. I couldn't tell what it was until I picked it up. I thought that was kind of funny. Here's the first big item that I had to pick up, and this was a tire. In a certain sense, I was happy to encounter it because I'm getting out something big, but I also know that this is going to be a difficult thing to work with just based on the silt. So first thing, obviously, is to deploy my lift bag and clip off my onion bag with a few glass bottles and beer cans in it, and then put just a little burp of air to keep that lift bag suspended, but not enough to lift that onion bag off the floor. This tire was kind of suctioned to the lake bed a little bit, so I had to shake it really hard to get it off the lake floor. And as you can see, as soon as I did that, there's a massive amount of silt. So what I had to do is I had to actually pick up everything, swim forward a little bit just to get myself out of the silt so I can actually work. Deploy one of these tire recovery lanyards, clip them in. It was really hard to see, so I had to actually fumble quite a bit just to figure out which one that I was grabbing, and then clip it off to the lift bag and swim forward. One thing that I note is what I really like about having a canister light, that's a light head that's attached to the battery canister via a cord, is that if I need to use my hands for anything, I just drop the light head and not having to worry about actually losing the light. I can't believe I actually found those sunglasses. It was so hard to see. So basically what I've done now is I've actually come up shallow. I made a right turn coming up the bank of the lake a little bit, and then I have to use my compass because it's so hard to tell which way I'm going. I have to use my compass to check my directions. Run into the second tire that I wanted to lift. I think I only had 2 lanyards with me, so it was pretty easy to grab the next one, clip it off to the to the lift bag. It took me a second to even find the lift bag. I couldn't see it. And then put a little burp of air, and then off we go. And then the rest of the dive is pretty boring. Basically, I made my way back to the shallows, and luckily I exited the dive pretty much like 20 feet away from the campsite.
Ooh, 4 degrees. That was that dive. I was in the water for 47 minutes, and I got so cold that I was trying to hit my inflator valve of my BCD, and I actually couldn't. I couldn't inflate because I couldn't find the button. Like I was doing this, and I couldn't even make my hands function. Anyway, it was a cold dive, and it was a challenging dive in the sense of the visibility. I had about 1.5 feet of visibility. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. It's kind of like driving in dense fog. If your headlight just kind of reflects off of everything, it doesn't matter how bright your headlight is, you can only see so far. That's what that dive is like for me. Anyway, I'm gonna get warmed up a little bit first. I'm gonna stand by the fire, get warm, and then I'll take you down and show you what we brought up. It wasn't very much, just because, like I said, it was hard to see, right? Anyway.
$2.9, 16.1.
Okay.
You want to find out with that?
There we go. There we go, 63 pounds of trash pulled out for today. This is a couple of tires, which obviously makes up the bulk of the weight. Got some beer cans, 1 golf ball, 1 shoe, 1 pair of sunglasses, some beer bottles. And there we go. What a cold but wonderful day. Got some diving in, hanging out at camp now, got the fire going. Maggie and Daisy, they got it leashed up because it's provincial park. So yeah, got just a tiny little line running there. They're not too happy. They'd rather be roaming the bush, but yeah, anyway. All right, so we're sitting by the fire, chilling, and aquatic monkey, Clayton, might drop by this evening or tomorrow, one or the other. And then Gordon from Hike and RV will be here tomorrow to hang out and help us out a little bit. So here we go. I gotta go find mine and put mine up as well too. Well, folks, what a beautiful evening. We just sat around the fire. It's like 9:15, and man, what a beautiful evening. We sat around the fire. It's a little bit chilly outside, but got the heat on in here. Daisy's tired. Oh, look at that. Make room for Daisy. Oh, make some room for Daisy. She can stretch out. Maggie's on her little seat here. You okay there, girl? What a beautiful day. Got a wonderful dive done. Dive is not nearly as horrible as I thought it was going to be. Made a nice dinner over the fire. Oh, so tomorrow, the park ranger, the area supervisor is going to come out with the park ranger boat, and we're going to head over to Maple Bay, which is a little further south from us. It's like the next campsite from us. And that's the one that I have concern with, because that's where the landslide took out. And I might be able to actually film. I don't actually know what they've done, because they obviously need to fix where the landslide came down and just basically took out like 12 picnic tables. So that's the one that I'm not sure what I'm going to see in the water for sure, like 100%. Like today I was kind of really hoping, and it worked out good enough. So tomorrow is where potentially the landslide has taken out every bit of the garbage that I know that's there, and it's a question of how far the landslide has washed, like the gravel that came down, how far it washed into the lake, whether it went all the way down to 80 feet, which is the farthest point that I clean, because that's where the swim buoy, the boundary is. That's where I find a lot of cell phones and beer cans and so on. And then I work my way back up. I know there's a big pile of garbage underneath the pier, so that's where Otto and Karen are going to go. And yeah, we'll see what happens. So tomorrow is definitely a questionable dive. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Right. So we get boat support tomorrow. Yay. All right. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you in the morning. There's BC park ranger, Mr. Rob, coming to pick us up, and we're gonna do some more diving, but further down over at Maple Bay. This is our water taxi. Why, how do you guys get picked up for work?
So before we started the day's dive, Rob was nice enough to take us on a little tour. So this is the sunny side, the campground. We had stayed here before, and you can see the giant pile of wood debris. They had a couple of excavators there working for several months, trying to pull off all the debris, the wood debris that washed up. So this is the Maple Bay campground. You can see here there's a ton of gravel. Those buoys were actually quite far away from shore, but there's a new shoreline now. Like, the shoreline was actually, like, the beach was back at where those trees are. It's like easily 30 feet back. Anyway, we're going to head into our dive. As the park boat actually has a very wide gunnel, there's no easy way to get into the water, so rolling off this thing is pretty much the best way to do this. So luckily I have some footage from last year, and again, exactly the same area. So let's put them side by side and let's see what this looks like. So you can see here that I got to be up really close to the chain in order to get even the same visibility, whereas the previous year I was able to back quite far off the chain. I can have great visibility. And let's get down to the bottom and see what it looks like. So you can see here on the one side of the screen, I actually have great visibility of the anchor block as I come up to it. Super easy to see from quite far away. And on the other side, I can't even see where the anchor, and actually at the same depth here. So it took me a little while to figure out that the anchor block is completely buried underneath quite a bit of silt. So I had to physically touch it, kind of just knock on it, and realize, yep, I'm definitely knocking on a irregular shape. So in other words, like a concrete anchor. So pretty much knowing that it was pretty deep, I had to get out of there, and seeing as it's dark and it's completely flat, luckily I took a compass bearing before I started the dive, and I headed up to the shallows. So you can see here the just an absolute ton of gravel had come down, and this is not what it looked like before. This is what it looked like before, just silt that's been there for a long time, but there'd be bottles and cans and whatnot sitting on top. I'm holding a boat paddle in my collection bag there. So this is the previous year's dive, and you can see great visibility, a lot of silt, but varying terrain. There's undulating terrain. There's different things to see, whereas this year is just gravel all the way up, as steep as it can be without sliding any further. So this goes all the way down to 85 feet. And yeah, not much to collect. Ran into Otto during my safety stop, so I came up alongside of him, show him what I collected, which is the only piece of garbage that I got was that blue anchor bag. You throw rocks in it, and then you can just create an instant anchor. And then right above him was Karen. She was waiting for Otto to come back up. Thought I'd come up and say hi. Hello.
Hey guys, that was a fun day so far. So I didn't actually, in retrospect, I should have actually got the camera out, but I didn't. Rob said, oh, there's a red paracord at the boat launch, but it's stuck in the water, and he didn't know why. He couldn't pull it out, and says, oh, why don't we just get our dive, we're getting our dive gear before we start the actual cleanup dives. We'll go and just get that, you know, whatever. As it turned out, it was somebody was magnet fishing and got hung up on the boat ramp and was physically stuck inside the boat ramp. So jumped into 3 feet of water, and of course with dive gear on, it's so much easier. So yeah, so we untangled a line right in the middle of the boat ramp. What a foul somebody's prop if they didn't see it. And then went over to Maple Bay, did that dive there, and man, there was just, the landslide just took everything out. All of the garbage that I saw previously, like hundreds and hundreds of beer cans and beer bottles, all were completely buried. And then we went over to Lindale Beach, went over the cliff jump side, and that was fun. Lots of dust, like that sediment dust, and pretty much covered everything. So we got a little bit of garbage out, but not a ton. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of my suit and start a fire and then go and relax. Well, there you go. That's the haul for today. There is some glass bottles. Didn't find very much today, as I explained earlier. But the funny thing today was that magnet that was stuck inside the fishing dock, or the boat launch. Yeah, there you go. And that fishing rod was actually tied to a stump for some strange reason. There's the star of the show, Daisy and Maggie. They just had their little peeve before the evening and settled in. It's like around, yeah, it's 9 o'clock right now. I think I'll turn on the old Netflix and watch a show and then hit the sack. So thanks so much for my Patreon supporters for following along this journey. And this is a fun weekend because we weren't sure what we're gonna, or not a weekend, but whatever. We weren't sure what we're gonna see, and it was good to come out to confirm a few suspicions and whatnot. So yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for following along my journey, and glad we got some little bit of trash out of the water. We'll see you in the next video. All right, good night, guys.